respected leaders, my dear comrades, and dear friends. It's extremely painful and reprehensible to hold a meeting like this in a democratic society. The constitution of our country declares beyond any doubt that India is an independent, sovereign, socialist, secular republic. But even after long 74 years of independence and 65 years of being a sovereign republic, still we are dragged into the mire of the Middle Ages. The central government is imitating Hitler and Mussolini in a very tactful and strategic way. But they should remember one thing, that no dictator in history had a happy life or a peaceful death. It would be good to remember the last days of Mussolini and Hitler. Dear friends, we are here to share our painful anger over the custodial assassination of Father Sanswami. The government should clarify what wrong was done by Father Stanswami. What justification can they give detaining an 83-year-old human rights activist during a period of a severe pandemic? While the government was asking all senior citizens to stay at home, this 83-year-old man suffering from serious diseases including Parkinson's was kept under custody for more than 180 days, 180 months. We wonder what is happening in the land of Mahatma Gandhi. Friends, similarly, many innocent human rights activists are in prison. We would be able to bring them all out. Let us hope that the martyrdom of Father Sanswami will pave the way for the release. Parkinson's disease made his words tremble, his hands shiver, but his determination and ideology did not flatter. We too can lift our heads high without shivering or bending. In this meeting, we expect many prominent personalities from different parts of the country. Advocate Ambar Thomas is here. Dr. Sandeep Pandey is also present. We expect Professor Kusuman Joseph, prominent environmentalist from Kerala, is present. And John Perivandanam, another environmentalist, is also present in this meeting. Mrinal Mathuria, National President of SYS is here. Binda Paranjbe, then Saurav Chakravarti, and many prominent leaders are now here. And we expect some more to join with us. Let us, first of all, I invite Dr. Sandeep Pandey to make the key presentation.
Yeah, I have to say only one thing. So first of all, thank you, Manoj Bhai, for taking the initiative, because I was also at a loss to, decide what we could do, and at a short notice, only an online condolence meeting like this could have been organized. Although our friends are protesting today, there are various protests being held in different cities. We have also planned something for Lucknow day after tomorrow. It will be a joint protest of different organizations, and Socialist Party will organize, because our SYS president has already announced that there will be a one-day fast on Saturday. So we have decided that we will fast for one day in a collective public manner in Lucknow. And I hope that at other places also Socialist Party activists will come out openly and participate in this one day fast. I have to say only one thing, and that that is that Father Stan Swami had nothing to do with Bhima Koregaon incident. Father Stan Swami, when first raid took at his place, he was asking his lawyer Mihir Desai about what he asked him, what is this Bhima Koregaon? I have never heard of it. So it is amazing that Father Stan Swami had nothing to do with Bhima Koregaon incident. He did not even know about Bhima Koregaon. Most of us did not know about Bhima Koregaon before this Elgar Parishad meeting took place, and then some of our activist friends, started getting arrested or raids started getting conducted. I think it was known only in Maharashtra or maybe in the Dalit circles, but not outside Maharashtra and the Dalit circles. People knew about Bhima Koregaon. So it is no surprise that Father Stan Swami, who is originally from Tamil Nadu, he did not know about Bhima Koregaon, and to have implicated him in Bhima Koregaon case, the conspiracy of the violence. And what was the violence? Some people attacked the Dalit gathering, and the people who attacked, two people associated with the Hindutva brigade, some Ek Bote and there is some other name, they have not been arrested till today. And in the name of that violence, 16 activists who are all supporters of people's movement and supporters of Dalit rights and the rights of the marginalized sections of people in this country, they have been arrested. It is such a big irony. Yeah, Milind Ekbote and Sambhaji Bhide, these are the two people who organized the attack, and they have not been arrested till date, whereas the people who were attacked and their supporters, and especially their intellectual supporters from all around the country, who may or may not have to do anything with Elgar Parishad. Some of them probably knew about Elgar Parishad and participated in the meeting, but most of them did not participate in the Elgar Parishad meeting, had nothing to do with that organization. That meeting itself was organized by two retired justices, Justice Kolse Patil and Justice P.B. Sawant, who's no more with us. So meeting organized by two retired judges, in which most of these intellectuals did not participate or knew anything about it, like Father Stan Swami, have been made accused. This is such a mockery of our criminal justice system, and it is shocking that NIA is looking after that case. Does NIA not know that Father Stan Swami was not involved? Just last week, we have seen how our friend Akhil Gogoi, who is now an MLA in Assam, has been acquitted. After 18 months, they had booked him under UAPA. And finally, the court said that the charges framed against him, there is no charge against him. The sections which were invoked against him did not stand the scrutiny of the court. There was no evidence against him to have participated in any kind of act which would have come under the definition of terrorism, because that is required if you want to use Unlawful Activities Prevention Act against anybody. So both the cases against Akhil Gogoi, filed in two different police stations in Assam, fell through, and Akhil Gogoi has been acquitted. We are very happy. Similarly, Devangana Kalita and Natasha Narwal and Iqbal Tanha have been acquitted in Delhi. They were also booked under UAPA, and there was no evidence, and the court has released them. But unfortunately, the court has said that the bail given to them should not be a precedent in other cases, because the court knew that there are 16 intellectuals who are booked under UAPA in the Bhima Koregaon case. But it is shocking that Father Stan Swami, at the age of 84, in spite of petitioning to get a bail, in spite of his condition, medical condition being very precarious, he was seriously ill. He was affected by COVID. The court wants jails to be decongested so that people are not affected by COVID inside jails. But our administrations, our governments have arrested people during lockdown. Gautam Naulakha and Anand Tel Tumde went to jail during lockdown in April. I mean, most shockingly, 14th April, the birthday of Baba Sahab Bhimrao Ambedkar. We know that Anand Tel Tumde is married to the granddaughter of Dr. Ambedkar. So it is a mockery of our constitution that the person who presided over writing the constitution of this country, his own grandson-in-law, is sent to jail on his birthday for something of which he cannot be accused of. I mean, Anand Tel Tumde has not carried out any terrorist activity in this country. So what is going on in this country is extremely shocking. And if we are not, I remember how intellectuals were getting killed one after another. Naren Dabolkar got killed, then Govind Pansare got killed, M.M. Kalburgi got killed, and Gauri Lankesh got killed. And finally, when Gauri Lankesh got killed, people got so agitated. Everybody came out on the street and they said, this kind of thing should not happen in India. This kind of thing should not happen in a democracy. Now these people, the right-wing people, the Hindutva brigade, which tries to paint the Naxalites and the Maoists, as criminals, themselves use violence for their politics. From the incident of killing Mahatma Gandhi to demolishing Babri Masjid, carrying out the nuclear test, and then, after Mr. Narendra Modi has come to power, killing of intellectuals, mob lynchings against Dalits and Muslims especially, and character assassination of people who dissent with them, not allowing students of any other ideology to organize their programs on campuses, booking people under National Security Act and other such draconian laws. If those people are opposing the ideology of the ruling party or the organization which patronizes it, the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, all this is going on in this country quite blatantly, which should not happen in a democracy. So I think we have to say enough is enough after the death of Father Stan Swami, and we have to demand that all these people who have been arrested without any evidence, they should be immediately released. They should be given bail. If you want to carry on with your cases in the court, you may carry on. But if there are no prima facie evidence against anybody, then you can't keep him or her in jail. Such fine intellectuals, Sudha Bhardwaj, she could have lived in the United States. She was a US citizen when she came to India to study. Then she could have been a judge in Chhattisgarh. She could have been a professor of She has a master's in mathematics from IIT Kanpur. She could have been a professor of mathematics in any institution in India, any prestigious institution in India. She is in jail, and when she demands bail because of her medical condition, the court says that she is a habitual complainer. Can you imagine? A person who could have spent her life in United States, person who could have been a professor of mathematics in any prestigious Indian institution, a person who could have been a judge in Chhattisgarh. They are saying that she is a habitual complainer. She gave up all this to work with the common workers in Chhattisgarh, workers' unions in Chhattisgarh, and with the tribals. She was living like an ordinary person. Once she came to Lucknow to spend one night at my home with a colleague from a village in Chhattisgarh, and after having dinner, I offered a cot to her in my drawing room. There was only one cot, and it was expected that the man will sleep on floor. She said, "I both of us can sleep on floor. I don't need a cot." I mean, you are telling that she is complaining so that she can come out of jail. It is a shame that such intellectuals of high integrity who have dedicated their lives, whether it is Anand Teltumde, whether it is Sudha Bhardwaj, Gautam Naulakha, Mahesh Raut, 33 years old, Prime Minister fellow for 2 years, 300 Gram Sabhas, 300 Gram Sabhas from Maharashtra have passed a resolution in his support. You don't recognize the sovereignty of the Gram Sabhas? Your parliament has not passed a resolution against Mahesh Raut, but 300 Gram Sabhas in Gadchiroli area of Maharashtra have passed resolution in support of Mahesh Raut, the work that he was doing in Maharashtra. And you are keeping such a person in jail. I mean, all these people who are in jail should have been awarded with the highest honor of the land. But it is unfortunate that even during COVID times, if nothing, they could have been helping people. They would have been carrying out relief efforts. You are keeping such fine individuals in jail. This is a shame on Indian democracy. And I think it is time we wake up and we demand that all these people should be released, just like Akhil Gogoi, Natasha Narwal, Devangna Kalita, and Iqbal Tanha have already been released. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandeep ji. Now, I invite Dr. Dampan Thomas, who is a prominent political leader and also trade union leader and humanist from Kerala, to share his views with this.
I'm just back from a function organized by the Socialist Party, Ernakulam. There is Mr. Tommy Matthew sitting before the Gandhi statue with other organizations, and it was a show of condolences in the death of Swami, Stein Swami, as well as protest to the government of India in the manner in which they conducted the arrest and which led to the death of Swami. I have to share many things with you at this stage, but I am not taking that opportunity. This is, first of all, Swami's life, it was for other people, not for himself. He is a Jesuit priest. He has sacrificed everything in his life for the public, and everything is for the public. He was working among the Adivasis. He was a champion of human rights. He is well respected, revered by the people at large. Even in other countries, he is well known. But he is brought in a case where nothing, he had no part. Dr. Sandeep ji has explained those things. I'm not going to go into the details of that. At any rate, today, now we have lost his life in the jail. This experience. Only last week, on the 25th of June, in Kerala, the Socialist Party in all the districts organized the Constitution Protection Day on the Remembrance Day of the emergency declared by Mrs. Gandhi in India. And I also went in many of the districts and addressed the meetings. And the people have been given the thought how to protect the Constitution, what are our duties at this stage. With my experience in undergoing the draconian law of MISA in detention, and at that time, my experiences. Same thing Swami has faced under another law, that law, UAPA, that law makes it clear that anybody can be arrested and put in jail. But the burden of proof is on the accused to prove that he is innocent. This is a draconian law which has come into India during the emergency in its with all forces. Arrest any person, whether there is reason or not, whom the government feels that he is not for the government, he can be an opposition, he can oppose injustice, then he can be put under arrest and put in jail. And now the man can also be killed. This amounts to murder. Murder means the government is murdering their citizen, putting them in jail without giving the opportunity, without inquiring about the details, about the facts of the case. Because the law on which they are arrested says that it is a duty of the person who is arrested to prove that he is innocent. This is basically a contrast in the law. If a person is accused of an offense, the person who charge sheet him has to prove that he has committed an offense, then he is put in the jail. Here it is not like that. Under these laws, we started from MISA, Maintenance of Indian Security Act in 1975, now which has led to UAPA or other draconian laws, CAPA, or some other laws which has come into force at present, that put the onus on the accused, the person against whom a charge is made, to prove that he is innocent. And under the prison, in the jail, under those circumstances, how a person can prove those things. So this is the draconian law not only, this is the dictatorship, this is the government which wants to take that law for keeping their power. I was a practicing lawyer. I am a practicing lawyer. While I am as a practicing lawyer in 1975, in the midnight, on July 3rd, people came to my house, the police. They arrested me. I asked them, what is the reason for my arrest? They have no reply. You have no authority to ask. I'm taken. I was detained in the prison. Then I heard that our founder, Socialist Party, this Socialist Party of India's founder, say Kuldeep Nayar, was arrested in Delhi, but he was released when he went to the jail by the Delhi court. Then I filed a petition from the jail asking for my production before the court in the Kerala High Court. I was produced. My mother was seriously sick. She died thereafter, within a week's time. When I was produced before the court, I was chained. The court where I am practicing. Then all lawyers stood up and shouted to the Judge, Chief Justice of Kerala, Mr. Govindan Nair, and Balakrishna Radhi, who subsequently became a judge of the Supreme Court, that Tamban Thomas is our friend. Why he is brought in chains before this court? No answer. The court asked. Court said, I don't know, we don't know. Let the Advocate General will come, he will explain. Then the Advocate General comes. He was a former member of Parliament. He comes. Then the senior advocates, everybody starts out asking what is happening. This man is our friend. He is a practicing lawyer. He is brought under these conditions to this court. Then the Advocate General comes to the court and says, my lord, all the fundamental rights are suspended. Tamban Thomas is a détenu and he has no right existing which is guaranteed under the Constitution. The Chapter 3 of the Constitution which says that you have got certain fundamental rights, including right to life. The court started asking questions. Then the final question which court asked, Mr. Tamban Thomas is taken back here from the police if we are not granting him bail. Suppose on the way, if the police shoots him, can you do it? Then the answer was, please note, the Advocate General of Kerala government submits before the court that can be done because Article 21 of the Constitution is suspended. I heard it. I bowed the court, and the court finally said, it's an embarrassing situation. Mr. Thomas, you have no fundamental right. You cannot talk to other lawyers. You cannot refer to the library. You will have to go back to the central jail. I was taken back to the Viur central jail. And the court showed us incapacity. The court shows their inability to protect the constitution. When the Advocate General said that the law doesn't permit and the fundamental rights are suspended and Article 21 is suspended and he has no fundamental right and therefore no case is maintainable, and even if he is shot dead, that cannot be asked. This was my experience in the court. I bowed the court, went out. I went back to the jail. After a week, I heard my mother died. This is the experience through which I have come at the age of, say, 46 years back. Today, Swami is no more with us. Stain Swami, who worked for the people, who did the work for the Adivasis, who was working, giving everything which he has got, except the gown which he is wearing for the people. And he's a human rights worker, always raising sound for the human rights, for the poor people, for the people who are discarded by the society, the Dalits, the Adivasis. And he is inducted in a case, falsely inducted in a case, and put in prison, and today he is no more. He is dead. The court could not do anything. The court which stands to do justice, the court which is expected to do this, could not do anything. I'm thankful that it was told that Taban Thomas can be shot dead on his way back by the police. They did not do it. And I am now capable to speak to you about my experiences. But see, if that is the experience today, what had happened? As that situation changed, even after that, the Janata government which came into power changed the law. The court itself declared that Article 21 cannot be suspended at any rate, in any manner, at no point of time, whatever it be. That was restored. Mrs. Gandhi herself restored Article 21. The Supreme Court declared it. Justice Khanna declared it again. The Delhi High Court declared it. Article 21 can never be suspended in any manner. And it was, we all believe that the emergency of that sort will not come back again. An emergency of that nature will not occur in India. But today something else has happened. That is, on black law, on the draconian law, innocent people are arrested and put in prison and they are dead. They are not given treatment. They are not given the freedom. They are not given food. That is called murder. The murder by the government. The people in the rule, they are killing their own citizens. And Swami is the victim for that. A priest, a person who sacrificed his life, gave everything for the society and giving everything for the society, and is no more with us. But is praised by the world. All over the world, the protest has started. All over the world, the government of India is now a matter of criticism, where there is no freedom, where there is no human rights, where there is no value for the people. Here the value is for certain other things. I find this is the situation once again. The emergency, which was a declared emergency, which was suspended the constitutional rights, but the people were able to fight it and bring back our rights. Today, this is an undeclared emergency, and the manner in which the present people could, power could make any way they can go, and that is the last example, Stain Swami's death in the jail. Then the judiciary is a witness for this, and they are also incapable, they are carcellated, they are not in a position to do justice to the citizen. Today the court is weeping. Court says that we heard it with a shock. What's the purpose? The court could not react to these things and find at the initial stages itself what is right and what is wrong. When Swami is arrested, the court should have evaluated the things and find that this is a draconian law. Now today, how many working journalists are in jail? It was only recently that Duai said that he was implicated in what case? In espionage. Working against the state, saying that he is in conspiracy. I know him personally. A man who has got the courage to write against the government, but he was put in prison. What about Kapan? Siddiq Kapan. His mother died in the jail. Yes, I had that same experience. My mother died when I was in the jail. Kapan's mother died. The only difference is his mother was 90 years and my mother was only 61. Anyway, I am not going to those details. These are the experiences through which people who want to fight injustices are facing today. Here there is a government, a dictatorial government, a government which follows Hitler, a government which follows fascism, a government which follows Nazism, a government which wants to destroy the constitution, a government which wants to re-establish certain things which is only for the capitalist, for the corporates, for the crony capitalist. And that is happening. Only the socialists can fight it. And socialists by all means. I'm sure that Dr. Lohia gave the way. AP showed the paths and they all led us. And they were the people who were courageous to fight for independence. It is not the Congress people. It is the leaders in the Socialist Party who gave the Quit India movement. They started the fighting. They started giving the leadership for the people and which brought freedom for the people. It is not sharing the power, but it is a fight. Only through the fight we can achieve it. That Dr. Swami's death, staying Swami's death, give us the courage to continue for the fight and let Socialist Party take up the lead to maintain tranquility, peace and unity together, and let us build the alternate for the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Bindaji, I request Bindaji to speak.
So let me just introduce her. Professor Binda Paranjpe is a professor of history at Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. Hello.
Please unmute your mic.
बिंदा जी म्यूट अनम्यूट कीजिए.
Thank you very much. Today is not a day when we can say things anything other than what the insensitivity the government has expressed. And we as citizens of this country are ashamed of ourselves. And being a university professor, we are well connected with the teaching fraternity from other part of the world also. And whenever we talk about India, whenever we talk about such things, and those who are sensitive, these kinds of news definitely they do hear. And when they ask us, we feel so ashamed, so awkward to say anything about it. Because on one side, we look at it as our country, our motherland. And on the other side, we see that those who are supposed to be in the position of power, in the position of taking decisions, they are showing such ridiculous behavior. And one thing I really do not understand is that in long run, when it is time tested, history has shown it over and again that such models do not work. Definitely it bounces back on those who implement such policies. But the kind of bloated egos that they have, or sometimes we can see that Their heads are so much full with the authoritarian power which they hold. And somewhere down the line, we as citizens fall short of ensuring that this doesn't happen. I agree with Thomas G that agitate, keep protesting, that we have to continue because issues will always keep coming. But I think along with the protests, there is something else which our society by and large is lacking today, and that is being one with someone else's problem. Very few they empathize, very few they feel that what the other person has suffered, somewhere I feel that same pain. And unless we have that kind of a feeling, a common cause that cannot be built up, and we will always remain divided. Like, say, for example, today the government is successful in dividing people on religious lines, but it is always there, like on the basis of caste, on the basis of language, on the basis of being tribals and non-tribals. uh, Now the recent happenings are like so much shameful behavior on part of people who are sitting in power to support the caste politics. Now, that is again going to take us to some further deteriorated states. So, I feel that unless we as citizens we gear up and become more enlightened citizens and help our other fellow citizens to come up to that level, these struggles will always go on, and people like uh, not even Stains only, but so many others, they take the brunt. Gone are the days when we were told that somebody else suffered because of the sins of others. I don't think that kind of appeal still works anymore. It should be my suffering. It should be the action which someone else has done, but it was my action. Physically, I may not have gone there or I may not have done it, but nonetheless, it's my action. I stand for it. So, unless that feeling is nurtured and promoted, these kinds of high handedness on part of the government or very careless behavior, casual or vindictive behavior also for that matter, from different institutions one after the other will keep happening. We are keeping a hope in, say for example, if we are talking about UP, then we are keeping a hope that soon we are going to have assembly elections and we'll kind of probably turn the tables upside down, and probably this particular party may not be in power. But does it really solve the problem? Because if the parties which are fighting elections, they are fighting elections with all kinds of black money and different kinds of these caste or religion related politics, when they are not working for the better future, they are only working for the better future of themselves or maybe their own children maximum. Or sometimes we have seen that even between the parents and children also, like one goes into one party and another goes into another party, because at the end of the day the politics is not for the betterment of the society. So all these complications which are there, and sometimes as a university teacher I feel that um, we are to be held responsible to some degree, that we address such a large number of youth of this country, and how much ever sincerely we are trying to make an appeal that what is right and what is wrong, and this should be, as a responsible citizen we should be doing, and we are not doing. But when it comes to elections, when it comes to voting, when it comes to supporting, somehow that immediate gain or a mirage which is shown to them, that appeal works more. So we as a society, I don't think we are behaving in a matured manner, in civilized manner, and we still get divided so very easily. So I think all these martyrs, in a way we can say, those who laid their lives for this cause and make this nation really come up from the darkness of not being enlightened. um, Sometimes it really makes me feel very low, but I agree that what is there in our hand is to keep protesting, keep struggling, keep trying, and whoever comes into our orbit, to begin with, first of all, these principles must be fully internalized at every point of time. If we become conscious that what am I doing, and whatever I'm doing, what is the outcome of it, or do I really stand for the principles that I speak for? And secondly, uh, whoever is in our orbit, whoever is around us, whoever comes into our contact,
Hello.
they may not like you for saying kind of things that you would like, because we have got these many WhatsApp groups, and people like to have fun, they like to share jokes, they like to have photographs shared with the families and friends and things like that. They don't like to listen to any such things. My personal experience is that they either block you or they completely ignore whatever you have been saying, and still not getting disheartened and keep pushing, keep saying those things. That is the only lesson that can be taken home, and that's the only way I think it would work. I really have no words to express the grief that I have felt, and all such godly souls, um, their contribution to our society, to us as persons, is so immense. Uh, I just very sincerely pray uh, that his soul must rest in peace, and the kind God should take him to his heart.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. I think now we can hear Dr. Kusuman Joseph. Dr. Kusuman Joseph is the national
She's
Convener NAPM.
she's the national convener of NAPM, and
Yeah.
also formerly the chairperson of Janniti. And proudly we claim that she is one of the state committee members of Socialist Party India, and also associated with the many this human rights actions and many actions for social justice. I request Kusuman Joseph.
എല്ലാവർക്കും നമസ്കാരം. ഞാൻ മലയാളത്തിൽ സംസാരിക്കാമെന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുന്നു. കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ?
കേൾക്കാം.
ഓക്കെ. ഫാദർ സ്റ്റാൻ സ്വാമിയുടെ ഓർമ്മകൾക്ക് മുന്നിൽ പ്രണാമമർപ്പിക്കുന്നു. ഞാൻ വളരെ കുറച്ച് തവണയെ ഫാദർ സ്റ്റാൻ സ്വാമിയെ കണ്ടിട്ടുള്ളൂ. ഏറ്റവും അവസാനം കണ്ടത് 2019 അദ്ദേഹം കേരളത്തിൽ വന്നിരുന്നു. ഈ കൊറോണയ്ക്കൊക്കെ തൊട്ടു മുന്നേയുള്ള ദിവസങ്ങളിൽ കേരളത്തിൽ വന്നെങ്കിലും അത് വളരെ ഒരു രഹസ്യ സന്ദർശനത്തിന്റെ ഒരു സ്വഭാവം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അപ്പൊ അതുകൊണ്ട് അദ്ദേഹം കോട്ടയത്തും എറണാകുളത്തുമൊക്കെ സുഹൃത്തുക്കളെ സന്ദർശിക്കുകയും ആദിവാസി മേഖലയിലെ പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ, അദ്ദേഹം നേരിടുന്ന ഈ കേസുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ, അദ്ദേഹം അറസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യപ്പെടാൻ സാധ്യത, അന്ന് ഞങ്ങളോട് സംസാരിക്കുമ്പോൾ തന്നെ പറഞ്ഞിരുന്നു, അറസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യപ്പെട്ടാൽ പിന്നെ അവർ ബെയില് തരാൻ സാധ്യതയില്ല, ജയിലിലായി പോകാനുള്ള സാധ്യതയാണ് കൂടുതൽ. അതുകൊണ്ട് ഈ അറസ്റ്റ് ഒഴിവായി കിട്ടാനുള്ള വഴികളെ പറ്റിയാണ് ആലോചിക്കുന്നത്. അന്ന് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഫോട്ടോ എടുക്കാനോ അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ വരവ് റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യാനോ ഒന്നും സാധിച്ചില്ല. അദ്ദേഹം വളരെ 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 എന്താണ് ഈ ഗവൺമെന്റിന്റെ, പോലീസിന്റെ, ഇന്റലിജൻസിന്റെ ഒക്കെ സർവൈലൻസിലായിരുന്നു. അന്ന് തന്നെ അതൊരു വലിയ ദുഃഖകരമായ അവസ്ഥയാണല്ലോ എന്ന് തോന്നിയിരുന്നു. നമ്മള് ഈ ഫാസിസ്റ്റ് സർക്കാരിന്റെ അങ്ങേയറ്റത്തെ ഭീകരവാഴ്ചയാണ് ഇവിടെ നടന്നുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. ജനാധിപത്യത്തിന് യാതൊരു അർത്ഥവുമില്ലാതെ ആകുന്നു. ഭരണകൂടം സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യത്തിന് മുമ്പ് ബ്രിട്ടീഷുകാർ ചെയ്തതിനേക്കാളൊക്കെ എത്രയോ ഭീകരമായി ജനങ്ങളെ അടിച്ചമർത്തിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. നമ്മൾ സിറ്റിസൺസ് അല്ലാതാവുകയും ഈ രാജാവിന്റെ കീഴിലെ പ്രജകളായി മാറിപ്പോവുകയും ചെയ്യുകയാണ്. അത്ര ഭീകരമാണ് ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ അവസ്ഥ. ഇത് എല്ലാ ഭരണങ്ങളിലും ഇത് തന്നെയാണ് സംഭവിക്കുന്നത്. നമ്മളൊരു ഫാസിസ്റ്റ് സർക്കാർ ഇത്തരം ക്രൂരതകൾ, ഈ ഒരുപാട് ഇന്റലക്ച്വൽസിനെ ഇപ്പൊ ജയിലിലിട്ടിരിക്കുന്നു. പക്ഷെ മറ്റ് ഇടങ്ങളിലും ഇത് തന്നെ സംഭവിക്കുന്നു എന്നുള്ളതും നമ്മൾ തിരിച്ചറിയേണ്ടതുണ്ട്. കേരളത്തിലെ ജയിലുകളിൽ ഇങ്ങനെ NIA-യുടെ ഭീകരത അനുഭവിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് അനാവശ്യമായ യാതൊരു തെളിവുമില്ലാത്ത കാര്യങ്ങൾ പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് യുവാക്കളെ വരെ ജയിലിലിട്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. UAPA ആരോപിച്ചാണ് 2 ചെറുപ്പക്കാരെ 2020 പിടിച്ചുകൊണ്ടുപോയത്. 1 വർഷം തികഞ്ഞപ്പോഴാണ് അതിലൊരു യുവാവിന് 19 വയസ്സുകാരനായ ഒരു കുട്ടിക്ക് ബെയിൽ കിട്ടിയത്. മറ്റേയാൾ ഇപ്പോഴും ജയിലിൽ തന്നെയാണ്. ഇത് എവിടെയും നടക്കുകയാണ്. NIA-യുടെ കയ്യിലേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുപോയി കൊടുക്കുന്നത് ഈ സംസ്ഥാന സർക്കാർ തന്നെയാണ്. നമ്മുടെ വിയ്യൂർ ജയിലിൽ ഇബ്രാഹിം എന്നൊരാൾ പോസ്റ്റർ ഒട്ടിച്ചതിന്റെ പേരിൽ, തെരഞ്ഞെടുപ്പിനെതിരെ പോസ്റ്റർ ഒട്ടിച്ചതിന്റെ പേരിൽ 6 വർഷമായി ജയിലിലാണ്. അദ്ദേഹം ജയിലിൽ എത്തിയതിനു ശേഷം അദ്ദേഹത്തിന്റെ കണ്ണിന്റെ കാഴ്ച കുറഞ്ഞു, പല്ലുകൾ അടർന്നുപോയി, ഹൃദയ സംബന്ധമായ രോഗങ്ങളുണ്ട്. മാവോയിസ്റ്റ് ആണ് എന്ന പേരിൽ കഴിഞ്ഞ 6 വർഷമായി ജാമ്യം നിഷേധിച്ച് 70 വയസ്സായ ഒരാളെ ജയിലിലിട്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ഇനി അദ്ദേഹവും മരണപ്പെടുമ്പോൾ മാത്രമാണോ നമ്മൾ ഇത്തരത്തിൽ പ്രതിഷേധിക്കേണ്ടത് എന്നുള്ളത് വലിയ ചോദ്യമാണ്. ആളുകൾ ഭയക്കുകയാണ്. മാവോയിസ്റ്റ് ആണ് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരാൾക്ക് വേണ്ടി, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മാവോയിസ്റ്റ് ഐഡിയോളജികളിൽ വിശ്വസിക്കുന്ന ഒരാൾക്ക് വേണ്ടി സംസാരിക്കാൻ തന്നെ ഭയപ്പെടേണ്ട അവസ്ഥയാണ്. അവരും മാവോയിസ്റ്റായി മുദ്ര കുത്തപ്പെടുകയാണ്. ആ നിലയ്ക്കാണ് ഈ രാജ്യത്തിന്റെ ജനാധിപത്യം പോകുന്നത്, അഭിപ്രായ സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യം പോകുന്നത്. ആർക്കും എന്താ പറയണ്ടേ, നമ്മളുടെ കോൺസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷനിൽ ഫ്രീഡം ഓഫ് സ്പീച്ച് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിലും നമ്മൾ എന്ത് അഭിപ്രായം പറഞ്ഞാലും ആ അഭിപ്രായങ്ങൾ സർവെയിൽ ചെയ്യപ്പെടുകയാണ്, അതിന്റെ പേരിൽ അറസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യപ്പെടുകയാണ്, ശിക്ഷിക്കപ്പെടുകയാണ്. ഇതിനകത്ത് ഏറ്റവും പ്രധാനമായിട്ടുള്ളത് നിങ്ങൾ ആദിവാസികൾക്ക് വേണ്ടി സംസാരിക്കരുത് എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. അത് ഞാനും അതിന്റെ വിക്ടിമാണ്. കഴിഞ്ഞ കോവിഡിന്റെ ഫസ്റ്റ് വേവിൽ കൊല്ലം ജില്ലയിലെ അരിപ്പയിൽ ആദിവാസികളായ ആളുകൾക്ക് അരിയും ഭക്ഷ്യക്കിറ്റും കിട്ടിയിട്ടില്ല എന്ന് ഫേസ്ബുക്കിൽ പോസ്റ്റ് ഇട്ടതിന്റെ പേരിൽ എനിക്കെതിരെ കേസെടുത്തിരുന്നു. ഭാഗ്യവശാൽ ഞാൻ അറസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യപ്പെട്ടിട്ടില്ല എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. കേരളത്തിൽ വലിയ തോതിൽ അതിനെതിരെ പ്രൊട്ടസ്റ്റ് ഉണ്ടാവുകയും ദേശീയ തലത്തിൽ NAPM ആ വിഷയം ഏറ്റെടുക്കുകയും പ്രതിഷേധിക്കുകയും ചെയ്തു. ഏറ്റവും ബഹുമാന്യനായ സന്ദീപ് പാണ്ഡേജി ഉൾപ്പെടെയുള്ളവർ CM-ന് കത്തയച്ചു. അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ വലിയ പ്രതിഷേധത്തെ തുടർന്ന് എന്റെ പേരിലുള്ള കേസ് ഇത് യാതൊരു നിലനിൽക്കുന്നതുമല്ല എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് അത് പിന്നീട് ഒഴിവാക്കുകയാണ് ചെയ്തത്. ഇത് ഈ രാജ്യത്ത് നടക്കുകയാണ്. നമുക്ക് ആവശ്യം ജനാധിപത്യം തിരിച്ചു കൊണ്ടുവരികയാണ്. അതിന് സ്റ്റാൻ സ്വാമിയുടെ ജീവത്യാഗം, അദ്ദേഹം കൊല്ലപ്പെടുകയാണ് ചെയ്തത്, അല്ലാതെ മരിക്കുകയല്ല. കസ്റ്റോഡിയൽ ഡെത്താണ്. ആ കസ്റ്റോഡിയൽ ഡെത്തിലൂടെ അദ്ദേഹം നമ്മുടെ എല്ലാവരുടെയും സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യം സംരക്ഷിക്കാൻ, ഡെമോക്രസിയെ സംരക്ഷിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി മർട്ടിയറായി മാറിയിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ എല്ലാവിധ ആദരങ്ങളും സ്റ്റാൻ സ്വാമിക്ക് അർപ്പിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് നിർത്തുന്നു. നന്ദി, നമസ്കാരം.
Thank you, Dr. Kusuman Joseph. She has, I'll give a brief description of her speech. She stated that she had met Father Stan Swami 2 or 3 times only, and last meeting was in 2019, just before this COVID, and he visited Kerala to learn about the Adivasis of Kerala, that is tribals of Kerala. And at that time also, he was aware that he would be arrested, and he knew it very well that he won't get bail, and he was trying to evade this arrest. She Her main contention is that those who speak for this Adivasis will be treated as enemies of the government, and the condition in India is now worse than that under the that of this British rule. She was also a victim of this. As in Kerala, there is a place known as Adipa where the Adivasis had been the Adivasis have been uh, continuing a struggle for land. And when this COVID started, these people were on the verge of starvation. And Dr. Joseph, Kusuman Joseph has sent a letter to the chief minister and also give a press note that government should take care of these Adivasis, and they are starving and they will be led to starvation death. And on that, writing a letter and putting a post in the FB, the government take actions against her, and it was feared that she would be arrested. But the so this people all around in India, including Sandeep Ji, involved in it, and Sandeep Ji wrote a letter to Kerala Chief Minister, and so she was not arrested, and that is the condition in India. And she says that is Father Stain Swami is a martyr for freedom, as a martyr for democracy. Okay, thank you, madam. Now I request.
Thank you.
Is clear. Saurabh Ji, I think he's not present right now. Madam Elsie, ma'am. Mrinal Mathuria, National President of Socialist Yuvajana Sabha. Socialist Yuvajana Sabha has decided to Socialist Yuvajana Sabha has decided to fight against this fascist rule of the government, and a call has been given for a fast on 10th July. And I think that it is the duty of all of us to make it a great success. Mrinal Mathuria, now you can speak.
The death of Father Stan Swami comes at such a difficult time and such a darkest hour of India, that at a time when the government is receiving backlashes from many factions of the society, and many different factions of the society are protesting with their issues against the government. And the judicial murder of Stan Swami comes at such a time. And uh, this death is to be condoled, but the time of this death also would give birth to many more Stan Swamis, I believe that. And now I would please allow me to speak in Hindi because I'm more comfortable speaking in Hindi. Uh, तो स्टैन स्वामी, फादर स्टैन स्वामी की जो जुडिशियल डेथ है, और इसको मैं खास करके जुडिशियल डेथ इसके लिए कहता हूँ क्योंकि ये जुडिशरी की जिम्मेदारी थी फादर स्टैन स्वामी को न्याय दिलाना। जुडिशरी हमारे लेजिस्लेटिव से इंडिपेंडेंट है और इंडिपेंडेंटली एक्सरसाइज उसे अपनी ड्यूटी इंडिपेंडेंटली एक्सरसाइज करनी चाहिए, लेकिन वो हमेशा जुडिशरी लेजिस्लेटिव के दबाव में अपनी ड्यूटीज एक्सरसाइज करती है, और इसके खिलाफ हमें आज आवाज उठानी है। और स्टैन स्वामी के मौत से फादर स्टैन स्वामी के डेथ से एक चीज साफ नजर आती है कि अगर जो लोग सरकार के रास्ते में अड़चन खड़ी करेंगे, जब सरकार को अपनी जमीन पूंजीपतियों के हाथ में देनी है और जो लोग इसके खिलाफ अड़चन खड़ी करेंगे, उन लोगों के खिलाफ सरकार अपने तरीके से बर्ताव करेगी। इंटेलेक्चुअल्स को जिस तरह से अरेस्ट किया जा रहा है, उससे भी ये बात साफ नजर आती है कि सरकार को दिमाग वाले लोग नहीं पसंद, और सरकार की नीतियों के ऊपर कोई सवाल खड़ा करेंगे तो उन लोगों के खिलाफ भी एक्शन लिए जाएंगे। और ये बात आज बिल्कुल साफ हो गई है कि जो समाज के तबके आज अलग अलग तरीकों से, अपने अपने तरीकों से सरकार के खिलाफ आवाज उठा रहे, अगर वो साथ में मिलकर आवाज नहीं उठाएंगे तो इस सरकार से लड़ना बहुत मुश्किल है। तो इसके लिए जो भी सारे पीपल्स मूवमेंट है, उन सारे पीपल्स मूवमेंट को हम सभी को मिलकर साथ में लाना होगा और साथ में इस सरकार से लड़ना पड़ेगा। तो इसीलिए सभी पीपल्स मूवमेंट को जोड़ने के लिए SYS से हम एक कॉल देते हैं फास्ट ऑब्जर्व करने को, उपवास ऑब्जर्व करने को। पहले तो हमने सोचा था कि सिर्फ 10 तारीख को फादर स्टैन स्वामी के जुडिशियल मर्डर के खिलाफ आवाज उठाने के लिए हम उपवास रखेंगे और बाकी सारे जो पॉलिटिकल प्रिजनर्स है उनकी रिहाई के लिए डिमांड करने के लिए हम फास्ट रखेंगे 10 तारीख को। लेकिन सिर्फ इससे काम नहीं बनेगा, तो इस कैंपेन को हमने और थोड़ा आगे लेके गए और हमने एक कैंपेन बनाया है जिसमें 10 जुलाई से 21 अगस्त तक 7 शनिवार हम 7 उपवास करेंगे इस सरकार के 7 साल के फांसीवाद के खिलाफ। और इसमें हम हर एक सैटरडे को एक अलग मुद्दे के लेकर हम उपवास करेंगे। तो इसमें सबसे पहला मुद्दा होगा जो 10 तारीख को जिसके लिए हम उपवास रख रहे, वो फादर स्टैन स्वामी के जुडिशियल मर्डर के खिलाफ आवाज उठाने के लिए हम उपवास रख रहे। उसके बाद 17 जुलाई को 3 फार्म बिल्स को वापस लेने की मांग करने के लिए हम उपवास रख रहे हैं। और 24 जुलाई को जो बक्सवा फॉरेस्ट में 2 लाख पेड़ काटे जाने वाले हैं और डायमंड माइन के लिए जगह दी जाने वाली है, उसके खिलाफ आवाज उठाने के लिए हम 24 जुलाई को उपवास रखेंगे। 31 जुलाई को जो न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी सरकार ने अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल वे से पास की है, वो न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी के खिलाफ हम उपवास 31 जुलाई को करेंगे। और जो गवर्नमेंट में जो खाली जॉब पोस्ट पड़े हैं उसे भरने की मांग करने के लिए हम 7 अगस्त को उपवास रखेंगे। और CA NRC को विड्रॉ करने के लिए हम 14 अगस्त को उपवास रखेंगे। और फाइनली 21 अगस्त को हम ये कहकर उपवास रखेंगे कि ये सरकार से हमारा भरोसा उठ गया है और PM नरेंद्र मोदी को रेजिग्नेशन देना चाहिए और आज के समय की ये मांग है कि एक प्रोविजनल नेशनल गवर्नमेंट बनाई जाए। तो इस तरीके से 7 शनिवार को हम 7 उपवास करेंगे ये फांसीवादी सरकार के 7 साल के खिलाफ। और फादर स्टैन स्वामी के बारे में तो काफी लोगों ने बहुत कुछ कह दिया और इसमें मैं कुछ वैल्यू नहीं ऐड कर पाऊंगा अगर मैं कुछ भी कहूंगा तो इससे ज्यादा तो मैं कुछ नहीं कहूंगा। बस मेरी ये उम्मीद है कि एक फादर स्टैन स्वामी को हमने खोया है और ऐसे मौके पर इस समाज में और कई सारे फादर स्टैन स्वामी का जन्म होगा।
സ്റ്റാൻ സ്വാമിയെ പരിചയമുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ബാംഗ്ലൂരിലെ ഇന്ത്യൻ സോഷ്യൽ ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂട്ടിൻ്റെ ഡയറക്ടറായി അദ്ദേഹം പ്രവർത്തിച്ചിരുന്ന സമയത്ത് അവിടെ 1-2 തവണ ട്രെയിനിങ്ങിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കാൻ അവസരം ഉണ്ടായിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇത് വാസ്തവത്തിൽ കൊലപാതകമാണ് എന്ന് മാത്രമല്ല, ജൈവായുധം ഉപയോഗിച്ചുള്ള കൊലപാതകമാണ് എന്നാണ് എൻ്റെ ആക്ഷേപം. മറ്റൊന്ന്, ഇവിടുത്തെ ഭരണവർഗ രാഷ്ട്രീയ പാർട്ടികൾക്കൊന്നും ജനാധിപത്യത്തെക്കുറിച്ച് സംസാരിക്കാനുള്ള അവകാശമില്ല എന്ന് തെളിയിക്കുക കൂടിയാണ് ഈ സംഭവം. കാരണം ഭരണവർഗ രാഷ്ട്രീയ പാർട്ടികളെല്ലാം ചേർന്നാണ് ജനാധിപത്യ വിരുദ്ധമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒട്ടനവധി നിയമങ്ങൾ ഇന്ത്യൻ പാർലമെൻറ്റിൽ പാസ്സാക്കിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. അത് ടാഡ മുതൽ തുടങ്ങിയാൽ ഇപ്പോൾ നിൽക്കുന്ന UAPA വരെയുള്ള ജനാധിപത്യ വിരുദ്ധ കരിനിയമങ്ങൾ അത് പാസ്സാക്കിയിട്ടുള്ള, അതിന് കൂട്ടുനിന്നിട്ടുള്ള, അതിൽ പങ്കാളികളായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ഭരണവർഗ രാഷ്ട്രീയ പാർട്ടിക്കും ജനാധിപത്യത്തെക്കുറിച്ച് സംസാരിക്കാൻ അവകാശമില്ല എന്നുള്ളതാണ് സത്യം. ഇത് വാസ്തവത്തിൽ മൂലധന ശക്തികൾക്ക് വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ് ഇങ്ങനെ ജനാധിപത്യ വിരുദ്ധമായ നിയമങ്ങൾ ഉണ്ടാക്കി സമരം ചെയ്യുന്ന, പ്രതിഷേധിക്കുന്ന മനുഷ്യരെ ജയിലിലിട്ട് കൊലപ്പെടുത്തുന്നത്. കൃത്യമായി നമുക്കറിയാവുന്നത്, ഖനിജങ്ങൾക്ക് വേണ്ടി ആദിവാസി മേഖലകളിലെ അവരുടെ ഭൂമിയിൽ ഏതെങ്കിലും തരത്തിലുള്ള ഖനിജങ്ങളുണ്ടോ എന്ന് സാറ്റലൈറ്റ് സർവേ നടത്തി കോർപ്പറേറ്റുകൾ കണ്ടെത്തിയാൽ പട്ടാളത്തെയും പോലീസിനെയും ഉപയോഗിച്ച് ആ പിറന്ന മണ്ണിൽ നിന്നും മനുഷ്യരെ ബലമായിട്ട് ആട്ടിപ്പായിക്കുമ്പോൾ ജനിച്ച മണ്ണിൽ ജീവിക്കാൻ വേണ്ടി അവിടുത്തെ മനുഷ്യർ അതിനെതിരെ പ്രതിരോധമുയർത്തുമ്പോഴാണ്, ആ പ്രതിരോധത്തിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കുന്നവരെ, അതിനെ സഹായിക്കുന്നവരെയാണ് ഈ ഭരണവർഗ രാഷ്ട്രീയത്തിൻ്റെ ഈ ജനാധിപത്യ വിരുദ്ധ നിയമം ഉപയോഗിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് കൽത്തുറുങ്കിൽ അടയ്ക്കുന്നത്. ഇന്ന് ഇന്ത്യയിലെ 756 ജില്ലകളിൽ 300ഓളം ജില്ലകൾ ഭീകരവാദ ജില്ലകളായി പ്രഖ്യാപിച്ചിരിക്കുക. അവിടുത്തെ മനുഷ്യരാരും ഭീകരന്മാരായതുകൊണ്ടല്ല യഥാർത്ഥത്തിൽ ഈ 300ഓളം ജില്ലകൾ ഭീകരവാദ ജില്ലകളായി പ്രഖ്യാപിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത്. അവിടുത്തെ ഖനിജങ്ങൾക്ക് മീതെയുള്ള കോർപ്പറേറ്റുകളുടെ കണ്ണ്, അതാണ് അടിസ്ഥാന പ്രശ്നം. അങ്ങനെ ഭൂമിയെ തകർത്ത് ഖനിജങ്ങൾ കൊള്ളയടിക്കാനുള്ള കോർപ്പറേറ്റ് ലക്ഷ്യങ്ങൾക്ക് വേണ്ടി നിൽക്കുന്ന ഭരണകൂടം, ആ ഭരണകൂടം ഭീകരവിരുദ്ധ നിയമം ഉപയോഗിച്ച് ഇന്ത്യയിലെ ജനാധിപത്യവാദികളെ വേട്ടയാടുകയാണ്. ഇത് അത്യന്തം പ്രതിഷേധാർഹമാണ്. ഞാൻ കരുതുന്നു തീർച്ചയായും സ്റ്റാൻ സ്വാമിയുടെ കൊലപാതകം ലോകം തന്നെ ഒരു ജട്ടലോടുകൂടിയാണ് സ്വീകരിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളത്. കടുത്ത പ്രതിഷേധം ലോകത്തിൻ്റെ വിവിധ ഭാഗങ്ങളിൽ നിന്ന് ഉയർന്നു വരും. അത് പുതിയ ജനാധിപത്യ ഇന്ത്യക്ക് വേണ്ടിയിട്ടുള്ള ശക്തമായിട്ടുള്ള പോരാട്ടമായിരിക്കും എന്ന് മാത്രം പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് സ്റ്റാൻ സ്വാമിക്ക് അന്ത്യാഭിവാദ്യങ്ങൾ അർപ്പിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് നിർത്തുന്നു. നന്ദി, നമസ്തേ.
Thank you, John Peruvandanam. He says that he knew Father Stan Swami while he was the director of Indian Socialist Institute in Bangalore, and it's a political murder. Not only by it's a political murder, but also for the interest of the capitalists. And all the political parties were passed, and this anti-people laws are culprits in this, and these laws are passed for the corporates to plunder the natural resources. Especially they want to, when they find that there are natural resources in an area, they will pass this anti-terrorist act in the, and also declare that district as anti-terrorist district. There are such 300 districts in India, and these are all for the to support the, these are all for the support of this capitalists and corporates. He believes the martyrdom of Father Saint Swami will lead to a new era in India, and also the world has condemned it, and it may help to raise a new democratic politics in India. Now I request Mr.
There is I think Advocate Jaya Vindhya from Hyderabad. If she wants to speak, she can speak. Jaya Vindhya from Hyderabad. If you would like to say anything on Father Stan Swami. No.
No, she's not.
Yeah. Then we can go ahead. Samuel Babu, Leela Matom, anybody would like to speak?
CP John from Kerala. He is one of the general secretaries, state general secretaries of Socialist Party India.
Yeah.
And he had been president of Government Employees Union in Kerala, associated with the socialists, and also the additional private secretary to Minister for Agriculture formerly. And I request CP John to address this small meeting. Please unmute your mic. CP John, please unmute.
Dear comrade, with a deep sense of pain and anguish, I heard the brutal murder of Father Stanislaus Lurdaswamy, a priest in the Society of Jesus Congregation. First of all, I extend my hearty condolences to his family members, the Jesuit community, friends, lawyers, well-wishers, and all those who stood by them during the moment of trial and suffering. In fact, he is a victim of state terrorism or state-sponsored terrorism and judicial lapse. See, it is being repeated under the Modi regime, from Gauri Lankesh to a series of intellectuals are persecuted, and the Sanghis attack these great men. And it's an irony that the people once fought against the emergency. Now they are implementing the draconian laws vigorously. That is the irony behind it. The Sangha Parivar was with us, socialists, in fighting against the anti-democratic rule of or emergency of Srimati Indira Gandhi. So this is a very precarious situation. Democracy is being peril, in danger. It is high time socialists come up and take up the cudgels against this anti-democratic and anti-humanitarian regime of the so-called Sangha Parivar. We have to ally with all like-minded organizations and people, individuals, and strengthen our force to fight against these atrocities and brutal murder of Indian Constitution. See, always, if we see the history, great men are persecuted and as killed like this. Mankind kills Socrates, executes, assassinates Gandhiji. Jesus Christ, they crucify Jesus Christ. All these people, they stood for the suffering people, the marginalized sections of the society. They die amid hatred and derision. At the end only, they received the homage of the world. Just like Father Stan Swami, who stood for the people, the poor people, the Dalits, the Adivasis, the marginalized sections. He gave life to the lifeless, a life to the full, with the dignity and honor. That was his crime, the crime he committed And our judiciary also committed a very heinous crime. He was not granted bail, even repeated applications for bail. Oh, the judiciary was playing second fiddle to the Modi regime. That is what we are experiencing today. So in such a situation, our fight against this regime must be strengthened. We must unify all forces. All anti-Sangha Parivar political parties, all like-minded organizations, all should be united. Hereafter, our attempt should be for that unification, and we should come to the limelight, use all media and all forces for that purpose. And once again, I express my heartfelt condolences, and may the soul of Father Stan Swami